What's up, everybody? I'm Yogi Chris, PhD. This is Behavior Code Podcast, titled today, How to Become a Stoic. If you don't know, I'm a monk. I also founded Ninth Limb Yoga. It's a brand of yoga. You can learn more about that at ninthlimb.com with the number 9, THLIMB. Today, How to Become a Stoic. So every day I read Art of Living by Epictetus. I also read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, supposedly by Marcus Aurelius. This is actually by Sharon LaBelle, A New Interpretation. Anyway, supposedly these are ideas from Epictetus. I can't really prove that. And the same goes for the Marcus Aurelius, but they have a unique flavor to them. Stoicism is not what I thought it was. And yet it was also a little bit of what I thought it was. It just, they made it sound so negative. The world, Christianity essentially through publicity, made Stoicism sound, Josiah, is that the Penguin class edition? I don't know. How do I don't see Penguin anywhere, so I don't think so. This is Harper 1. Shout out Harper 1. What was I saying? Anyway, there's a flavor to Stoicism. It wasn't, controlling. It's not controlling your emotions. I think that's a misnomer. That's misnamed by people who don't know what they're doing, because you can't control your emotions. That's absurd. Do you choose all of your emotions through the day? You barely choose any of them, if one. There was a time before 28, I probably never chose an emotion. But what I do choose, that's redundant. What I choose is what I say, what I do. And that's where my control is what I say and what I do. And that's just about the end of my control also. I take cold showers, so I guess I control my blood vessels a little bit. You get the idea. Most of what it is, I'm not controlling. Most of what's going on. I don't choose my mood, my attitude. Stoicism, although I don't hear them talk about this, and there's probably a lot of Stoic writing that I haven't read, but it was so largely destroyed by the early Christian church. The Stoic temples burned, and you just don't hear about Stoicism. And it was shamed as, being emotionless and crass, coarse, abrasive, rough. The Stoic is insufferable, unenjoyable, lack of pleasure. These are like ideas that I had associated with Stoicism. And now I see it as I actually enjoy things a lot more. And I see how much, how much more fulfilling enjoyment itself or pleasure itself can be when it's aligned with one's values, and when one, when one is aligned with the actions of what you're doing. So let me give you an example. So in the Art of Living, there's a story, or one of Epictetus's stories. There's a story of one of his students wanted to go to a party by the Emperor Nero, and the Emperor Nero is the emperor. It's way more than the president. He's the emperor. It's like a different kind of government. And Nero was supposedly a very bad guy, very tortured people, very nasty guy. And Epictetus didn't like him, actually. The student went to Epictetus and said, basically, I can win favor, I can network, I can get leverage over things, I can advance my career, blah, 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 blah. Even though I don't like Nero either, but I got invited, and what an opportunity it is. And Epictetus was like, you should go. And he was like, I really didn't think you were going to say that. And he's like, no, I wouldn't go, because that's just an evil environment. I'm not going to find any good there. I'm just going to go, take a walk with the devil and hope I don't get influenced or something. But you should go because you still are attached to that stuff. You still seek outside of you for validation. The Stoic isn't seeking outside. The Stoic knows that the whole experience of the outside is an internal journey through life. Your whole life is, that is so stupid, Octavia. What a dumbass. That bitch calls me. She was just on my live stream. Why the fuck would you call me? That is so stupid. Come on. Retarded. You know, what kind of emotional impulse would one have to do that? That's blind over, what's happening. I hope it wasn't an emergency. If it was, still, that's why you need to be more advanced in your wit, because a guy like me, I'm not going to answer, but send me a text that says emergency, blah, blah, blah. I'll answer, right? I can read a text. Anyway, the Stoic. The more we get a language for our emotions as an occurrence or a thing, a field, a flowing phenomenon that happens through us that is separate from our communication, the more we can get discernment that there's our emotions and there's our communication that goes out, that there is cause and effect in the world, that the decisions you make based on your emotions, you will live the consequences of the decisions, not the consequences of the emotions. The only consequence of the emotion is, maybe some hormone residue inside of you, whatever metabolic residue you have from like being stressed or being anxious or being in fear or whatever. Maybe there's like little chemistry alteration. But there's nothing, what's outside that changes is whatever was expressed, what was picked up from the environment, what makes a difference in what you're doing. You can go through a whole episode of being emotionally triggered and just outlive that episode 5 minutes later, 5 hours later, 5 days later. If whoever didn't talk to you during that time would definitely not know that you went through that. And we go through these things, especially as you advance in your career, or just especially when you expand your communication lines. If you're on this path, which I think all of you that I see are, as you expand your communication lines and talk with more people and go deeper as you develop your skill of communication, what's the motive for developing the skill of your communication? Your business, your relationship, and that's it. So as a guy, what are you doing? What's your priority, your business or your relationships? Obviously you have business relationships, but there's romantic relationships too that don't have, like, it's difficult to measure. You don't measure them with dollars. There's like a fulfillment there, but there's a need. It's more quality. It's like a feeling. There's feelings with business also, but you measure that with numbers. Like that's survival and replication, right? Feelings and logic. So, but these two things, these are our drive to communicate. Better relationships. I saw your message, 999 Powerful. I don't know. Other people are here on Zoom, so just type it in, 7744-98201. And that's how you get to Zoom, 7744-98201. I'm like those radio talk show hosts. And now call in to 7744-98201. Sixth caller will be answering with your opinion about Stoicism. Is it attractive in a male? Yes, it is. When you do it right, it's about your communication, right? Stoic is just an idea that it comes from the idea of being out on the porch. That's where the word comes from, is basically standing out on the porch, all the guys, and discussing ideas until we come to understanding. It's the idea that everything can be worked out through communication, and it's your irrationalities, your insanities, your emotions that make you unable to see reason. And so in a group of intelligent men that are not all passionate, emotional about their topics, emoting, you should be able to come to conclusions that make sense. And so where was I going with that? Cause and effect in your life. As you expand your communication lines and you take more responsibility for your survival, relationships will come to you. Now, as a woman, if you're emphasizing your business and your survival over your relationships, you should just look at that, where that's going to lead to. I get it. There's not many good guys around, and it's really enticing to use your youthhood to, build up a career so you have something to retire on. That's a difficult, for everyone it's difficult. For guys, it's difficult too. What's your choice? Like, you have to become like some Rico Suave Casanova even to be able to get the girl of your dreams. And to do that, you got to like sacrifice all your time and money to learn those skills. And then where's your business go? So you could become a billionaire, but the billionaires of the world, some of them are pedophiles. That clearly doesn't solve the problem of relationships. You get divorced and the woman gets half your billion, and it's like, that's clearly money didn't solve that. They're two separate issues. So, what are you going to do? Well, first of all, realize that your emotions, you're not choosing them. So who is? It's either genetics or somewhere in your subconscious that you're unaware of. Or you think that maybe some alien is pulling at your nerves and you can't see it. But let's put that one out the window for now. And then just say it's your subconscious or it's genetics. Like if you got to a cliffside, I don't think you have to have a subconscious memory to know that it's dangerous. You should genetically feel fear, I think. But the rope in the corner that's in the shadows, maybe you were bit by a snake as a kid, so you're really afraid that it might be a snake. So that's like subconscious, but you don't remember being bit by a snake because you went unconscious and went to the hospital and you forgot. That's what happens with traumas and whatever. We don't even remember. So emotions come up. We don't even know why. Now, the Stoic in your intimate relationships and in your business relationships would do better to not make too many sharp decisions based on how you're feeling in that moment. And the Stoic knows that cause effect, society is cause effect, that you're limiting your ascension through the ranks and the achievement that you're seeking in your business and relationships if you're acting out of emotions, because that's acting out of genes that were not designed for the present time environment, or a subconscious mind memory that was also not designed for the present time environment. So that would not be right to make decisions, soccer decisions for a football game, or to let's say play football with 1920s rules instead of current present time rules. You need to be upgraded, or you're going to make mistakes and errors, and that's going to cause suffering. Hence, emotional decisions, irrational decisions lead to future suffering. And that's what that's what yoga resolves future suffering. It's actions now that resolve the need for future action. Now, cheap leftist, socialist, feminist yoga would be, we'll resolve future action by just doing less. Let's just reduce our life and become minimalistic. Yeah, I do that too, but it's not get away from people. It's actually go into people and get less involved. Engage with the world, get less involved. How can you be, the paradox of effortless effort? By the way, everybody here should be on the silent flute. That's ninthlimb.com/the-silent-flute. And this is where the really good stuff is, because I'm holding back right now. I wish Thursdays, I'm no longer doing Science of Spiritual Growth. We're doing a silent flute lecture on Thursdays. Sundays, I haven't decided if I'll continue the podcast. I may do a silent flute lecture on Sundays also. And then Mondays, of course, we've been going on Mondays for like 4 years now, every Monday. So that's regular. Okay. So irrationalities, emotionalities, making sharp decisions in communications, it causes future suffering. We engage with the paradox of effortless effort. How can you engage with your conversations without getting involved with what your mind is interpreting about it? There's what they say. I do this a lot when you come around me. People can tell you when they come around me. Adrian knows this well. Everybody knows this well if you've had a deep conversation with me, which doesn't take too long. And if you don't know this about me, you should know this about me. I'm going to ask you what do you mean a lot? I'm going to repeat what you say to you, and you're going to correct me. And yet I'm going to repeat exactly what you say to me. You're going to find out that you're not really saying what you mean. You're miscommunicating. And that's what happens when we get emotions. We start miscommunicating. And so people go off of what we're saying, not how we're feeling. We expect them to know how we're feeling. They are interpreting. They're receiving what we're communicating. Then they're interpreting and saying it differently to themselves. We are narrating differently than what's being said to us. A lot of times we're reading into it more than's there. And it's a slippery slope. There's a slippery boundary because there is more that's being said. Most of us are indirectly communicating, not saying exactly as we mean, largely because we're living in a frequency of fear. The fear, that's why we lie. We lie, which is just indirect communication is a lie, technically. We're saying something other than what we mean. But it's not that there's an intention to do that. There's just the vibe of fear is there that what is not being said as it is. It's not even because as an adult they're afraid. It's because of childhood being brought up and it never was revisited. It was never changed. That's what the yoga retreat was. I showed these people how to tap a deep contentment that was like a neutral zero place from which they could build. A lot of people try to just stack on top of their anxiety and fear self-development. They never break it down and build up at the same time. Well, yogis break it down, but they don't build up right. They got weird philosophies, misinterpretations of ancient texts that turn them into slave sheep, feminist socialists. So there's that. Okay, so the Stoic, how to become a Stoic. So I read Meditations several times too, and Marcus Aurelius was very big on the human animal is a social organism and a rational organism, that we are social and social, actually, in that order. Rational first, and then it's the rational thing to be social because one man or woman is very weak individually compared to a group. So it's better we are a group organism, but you were rational first. So if the group is not good for you, you find the group that's good for you. And that's best for you, really. That's where you get male-female leadership and women, where are you going? I don't expect women to be Stoics, but they should be more Stoic than all their female friends, more Stoic than all their male friends, whatever the fuck a male friend is. And she should be aspiring to be as Stoic as her man. Because the man that's less emotional than you has the potential to be much more rational than you when you're menstruating or ovulating. And that's when you'll be led in a wrong direction. So you must have control of your emotions, or sorry. So see, there's the language. It's not control of your emotions. You must have control of your decisions when you're emotional. And this takes practice. This takes practice. Hence the beasting routine, hence the beast philosophy, hence the world's first Stoic temple of its kind, and hence the flavor of the silent flute lectures for the last 6 months. So you should definitely get on that, ninthlimb.com/the-silent-flute. All right, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're going to end the recording and answer any questions. We got a thriving Zoom audience, people on all the social media platforms where we're streaming to. So, of course, you can find me if you catch the recording. Follow those apps and go to Yoga Bliss Chris on Instagram. Catch me there. And that's all for this behavior code. Again, I'll stick around, answer any questions after we listen to a song. See you all in the recordings next time. Os.